another week of Tigers baseball, and well, this week was about the same as last week. Wash, rinse, repeat. As the Tigers had 2 series this week, and they won one and lost one. So the first series they had was against the Pirates, pretty much the garbage-ass Pirates, and the Tigers dominated the first 2 games of the series in dominant fashion, with the winning the first game handily. And then, of course, the last 2 games of the series were put in a doubleheader as Game 2 got postponed because of rain, forcing a doubleheader on Thursday. And the Tigers split the doubleheader with the Pirates winning the second game and then losing the third game to the Pirates. But the Tigers claimed 2 out of 3 against Pittsburgh to win the series, so the Tigers had another series win to the belt, which is now their 17th series win of the season. And then they had their next big challenge against Tampa Bay against the Rays, and the Tigers struggled mightily against the Rays, dropping 2 out of 3 against the Rays. And the 2 games they lost, they were embarrassing blowout fashion, including a 14-8 loss to the Rays, which that's a pretty heartbreaking way to lose that one, especially when you score 8 runs and still lose. Because usually any other night in baseball, 8 runs will be more than enough to win any other given night. Except this one when you give up 14 runs. Jesus fuck. And then they lost the other one pretty convincingly before they won the last one. Before they won the third game convincingly 9-3. To prevent Tampa Bay from sweeping, but they still dropped the series to the Rays. Losing 2 out of 3 to Rays, which means now the Tigers have won 17 out of 25 series this year. Which means they have won 68% of their series this year. Their series record this year is 17-7-1. And here's why I mentioned the Tigers here, how much the percent of series the Tigers have won this year. Because usually a majority of nearly every World Series team since like the turn of the millennium have usually won around 60% of their series in the regular season. Tigers have won 68% of their series. Although, you could argue the Tigers might be looking a little bit cold right now. They still got a massive lead in the AL Central, but as we've seen in baseball with how long the season is, a giant 8-9 game lead can evaporate just like that. And there's still a long ways to go in the season. That's pretty much after this, we're now around the 80 game mark, which means we're officially halfway through baseball season. Yeah, and halfway, we're now entering the second half. And second half is baseball is the only sport we have, only one of the big 4 sports we have now, since the Stanley Cup Finals have concluded, and of course the NBA Finals have officially concluded after a Game 7 between Oklahoma City and Indiana. So yeah, all we got now is Tigers baseball until football season begins in September. Although it kind of begins a little bit earlier since training camp and preseason begins end of July, early August. But yeah, only sport we have left in town. But yeah, but of course, I'm not too concerned about the Tigers' struggles because I mentioned before, baseball's a fucking marathon. Because anybody in baseball can look hot or cold at any given point in the season. And, there's still a long ways to go in baseball. Now, if the Tigers struggle like this throughout September, then I'd be a little bit concerned. But, still got a lot of time, but Tigers definitely need to look against some more arms in the bullpen at the deadline. I think pitching's going to be the main thing they need to address heading into the deadline, especially with how many pitchers have gone on the IL this year. Or at least they're out for the season, like Jackson Joby. Jesus. See, I think pitching's going to be the main address, and I think maybe getting a couple more bats to get some more offense going, that might help too. But yeah, because we're about a month away from the deadline. So yeah, we're getting closer to at the midway point. We're going to really decide here who's going to be really in the baseball playoff race and who's going to be out and left to be tanking in the draft lottery. At least know a couple teams that are already in the draft lottery tank. But anyway, I think that just wraps up for another week of Detroit sports. But yeah, all we got now is baseball until football season begins. Don't worry, folks. Only a couple more months until football season begins. Only a couple more months. This is not a quiet time for sports. Well, until the NBA and the NHL drafts at the end of the month.